into the chat, and we'll try to get to as many questions as we can at the end of the presentation. So I'm gonna go ahead and jump right in and get started. So the purpose of today's agenda, the purpose of tonight is, again, we want to release our Nurturing Minds report, kind of tell you how we got here, what brought us to where we are today, what our findings are, and then share with everybody on the call our calls of action that we are asking communities, parents, and school leaders, and our philanthropy leaders as well. So, kind of a little bit about what got us here. So, first, let me just start off by saying, Parent Shield, we are a parent advocacy group. We assist parents in understanding what's going on in the school systems, how to best advocate for not only their children, but all children, how to find access to the information that is not readily shared with us from the schools, and how to use that information to empower parents and make sound decisions and responsible decisions for our children. So we were founded a little bit over 2 years ago. When we started, we went out to the community, knocking on doors, telling parents about Parent Shield, about the work that we were doing, about the reading scores that were going on in our city. We were just surprised by the data and how parents were not like flooding the schools with their concerns. So in our organizing and being out in the community, many of the parents that we met realized that there was a problem going on within our school systems, but it wasn't something that resonated directly with them. They didn't think it affected their child specifically because those kids brought home A's and B's on their report card. So what did we do? We decided to take information into our own hands. We started off with a meeting, a roundtable meeting with our mayor. We had maybe about 30, 40 parents inside this room, letting our mayor know, like, we know that there's a crisis in our city, and we want to make sure that, excuse me, that all parents know that there is a crisis, and we want to know what can be done to resolve this issue for our children. So a couple of things came from that meeting. One was that the mayor agreed to declare literacy as a crisis in the city of Fort Worth. And the second thing was that she agreed to help us find some funding, excuse me, to make sure that we can really spread the word on this and get parents involved. So that's where we started in July of 2023 with our Freedom July clinics. And so what was Freedom July? Again, with us hearing parents saying, like, we do know that there's a problem in the school system. However, I'm not sure that this problem is affecting my child. We set up clinics in different pockets of the city, at our libraries, boys and girls clubs, really just safe places throughout our community. And we asked parents to bring their children in during this month. The children were able to be assessed by certified teachers. We had certified teachers assessing the children who had no previous relationship with these babies. While the kids were being assessed to determine what reading level they were on, we did two things with the parents. First, we surveyed the parents to get a little bit of data and information from them, which helped us form our report. And secondly, we had a meeting with them to let them know, like, these are some of the things that should be going on in the schools. Here are some questions that you could ask your child's teacher, and use this assessment information that we're giving you today to push forward, ensuring that those gaps are closed. So parents left out of there very informed. But one thing that we found from that report was that a couple of things. One was that parents were dependent on report cards to give them accurate information on how their kids were doing, which we all on this call, I'm pretty sure, know their report cards do not tell us the whole truth. A second thing is that we found is that our kids needed intervention. Most of the families in our city are economically disadvantaged, so paying for tutoring was not something that was on the highest priority. They're just trying to put food on the table. So we knew that we had to do something, and we had to really close those gaps for our kids and supply them with some additional intervention. And so that's exactly what we did. So we created our Lift program. We partnered with the Boys and Girls Club, and this started in March. So in March, children were able to go into the Boys and Girls Club 2 to 3 times a week to receive free intervention from our certified teachers that we had. Those teachers started off each child with an assessment. We used dibbles to assess each child and see where their starting point was. And from there, our teachers built personalized learning plans for each child and worked with that child individually, consistently every week. What we found was a couple of things. For one, was that by those teachers actually working with the same child and building a relationship with that child and that family, that also helped parents gain more information, but that also allowed the children to be more comfortable in their reading skills and really gain a lot from it, being that they know that they're working with the same teacher each session. So our lift program lasted 10 weeks. In that program, we had 52 students total. Our target was that each student participated in at least 20 to 25 sessions, and those sessions were 45 minutes each. So the teachers will spend 45 minutes working with the children and the last 15 minutes communicating any progress to the parents. Every week of our program, we will send home weekly updates to the parents, let them know also what tools and resources we were using, how those tools could be used at home. Our teachers were available to answer any questions that our parents had. Um, and that really played a huge part in the connection with not only the teachers, but with, like I said, with the parents and them feeling more engaged and empowered with having this information. Um, I just put this on an average just for our philanthropies that are on the call. On an average, this program cost about $1,300 for each child over those 10 weeks. At the end of the program, each one of our children left with a book of their choice, a certificate, a coupon, confidence, most importantly. And we were able to grow those children that were in our program. Of the 52, 96% of those kids were able to increase their reading level at least one grade level just with this program. So, with that being said, one of the things that we know is that the school districts have our children 3 times the amount of our program. So for 9 months instead of 3 months generally. So if our program is able to show that children are able to grow and increase their reading ability by at least one grade level in 3 months, we know that with the schools having our kids 3 times that amount, 9 months, they should be able to grow at minimum 2 to 3 years in growth with targeted intervention. I would also like to say the program that we used to actually provide the intervention was called UFly. Um, and some of the feedback that we received from the district, from other teachers, is that the programs and the assessment tools that we were using were top tier. So we know that these are recognized in the district, and these are tools and resources that can really move our kids. So again, this is the things that we need to be doing. Like, we don't have to recreate the wheel in order to show achievement improvement for our kids. So what are some of the things we learned? Like I stated a moment ago, 96% of our kids that went through our 3-month program grew at least one grade level from where they started from, just by working with the same teacher, having an actual targeted plan, ensuring that there was communication with the parents in a parent-friendly method that they were able to understand, and keeping that level of conversation and communication open. Um, we were also able to this came from parents. They said that at least 90% of the kids that went through our program were able to boost their confidence. The parents noticed a change in their reading ability, and they were more confident and more willing to read in open groups and to their parents. We also believe that the pre-assessments are critical, because again, that's what pinpoints the targeted and needed instruction. So without that assessment, we wouldn't be able to build a plan that is specific for each individual child. So we know that that is also key. We need that starting point, and it's also key that parents get that starting point information. I know a lot of the districts, they use map data, but just how is that map data being shared to our parents? And is it being shared in a way to where they're able to understand it and know how to actually apply those tools to their kids' everyday learning? So I would like to pause for a minute. One of our parents was unable to join. I hate that. I really wish she was able to join. Although she's not, I just want to give you a brief. I don't want to speak for her, but I do just want to tell you briefly a couple of things that she told me that was really important for her about this program. So Sandra is one of our parents. She's a parent that also struggles to read and comprehend. And so that was one of the reasons why this program was super important for her and her children to be a part of, because she knew the struggles being an adult who still has difficulty reading and comprehending. That wasn't something that she wanted her two elementary children to go through, excuse me, second and third grade. So putting them in this program, she noticed that her oldest son was able to excel in reading. He's now one of the highest readers in his class, just by getting the support. He loves to read. He's not shy. He's come out of his comfort zone and likes to volunteer to actually show that. So that was super, super helpful for Sandra. And then just being able to learn and know exactly where her child was, that was helpful for her as well. And as a result, she ended up making the decision to move her child to another school where they were able to get more support to even enhance this growth even more. So I'm a pause. I would like to welcome Melanie Watson, who is another one of our parents. Just giving a little bit of background before Melanie comes on. Melanie was one of our parents that went through our Freedom July clinic to actually get her children assessed to learn what reading level they were on. And as a result of that assessment, she also um, allowed them to participate in our our Lift program. And so I just want to bring Mel to the floor for just a moment. And Mel, just ask you, for starters, with your children participating in the assessments and you getting that information, how did that make you feel? How did that help you as a parent? And then if you could talk a little bit about the Lift program and how that helped your children as well.
Okay. Hi everyone. Thank you for joining. Thank you for listening to our voices on this evening. My name is Melanie, and I have 7 children that are still in school. And so it's always been important to me because it was something that was instilled in me from my parents that education is the key to the future. Um, I joined Parent Shield, and then we had the literacy clinic, and I said, well, it can't hurt. I thought my then second grader was on reading level, and they tested her and they said she was on lower first grade level. And I was like, oh my goodness, how could that be? She was reading better than my third grader at the time. We had just found out that my third grader was dyslexic. So I knew that she was behind. I didn't know how far behind, but to know that I had 2 children reading on lower first grade level really hurt my feelings. And as a parent, that's something that you don't really think about when your child is on the AB honor roll. You don't think that, hey, my child is severely behind because I got all these certificates saying that they doing good. Well, after getting my child screening and actually seeing it wrote down on the paper, I cried. I cried. I told Trinace, I said, wow, I knew my third grader was behind. I had no idea that my second grader was behind. So it lit a fire up under me to do everything that I could to ensure that my kids were where they were supposed to be. So when Trinace told us about the Lift Clinic, I was like, of course, sign us up. Sign us up. I had been, we had what we called here at the house reading Saturdays. All Saturday we would have to read from me and my husband on down to the kids. No electronics were allowed, no TVs were allowed. We were reading because we wanted to set the example for them that reading was important. But one thing that I do know is, regardless of them seeing me and their dad read, it was forced. And being a mom of 10 kids, I knew that they felt like it was being forced upon them. And so with the Lift Clinic, that took that away. They had a one-on-one teacher, and I don't even know what they was doing because we didn't go back there. We dropped the kids at the door and they went to their teachers. But I do know when my children came home from the very first day, they were excited. They were excited. They had their little chips and their juice, but they didn't even care about their chips and their juice. They was talking about the books and the papers that they had done read. And they brought home little sheets and they were showing us, well, we learned these words right here. And we learned these words right here. And my lady said, I need to work on these words right here. And it boosted their confidence from day one. So much so that when they did have to miss a day, oh, they'd be upset. We're not going to the Boys and Girls Club today. And I was like, nah, we ain't gonna be able to make it today. But I can say, I know they got their little certificates at the end of the program and they got their pizza party, but none of that could have amounted to the joy that I got from my kids telling me, Mama, let's go to the library. Let's go to the library. And my fifth grader was only picking picture books up until the end. We would take them to the library and she would pick out picture books. She started picking out books with actual words in them.
And
That's
Mel, I
how
know
much her confidence.
you had made a recent post I saw on your Facebook that you had recently got an update about
Yes,
your kids.
yes. My babies are on reading level. They are on their reading level. And that was just, I mean, the thrill and the joy that you get. It can't be, I mean, because like I said, when they tell me that they on the honor roll, of course I got excited. I'm proud. But really and truly knowing that, okay, this is where my kids stand, having that knowledge, every parent needs that so they can make decisions that's best for their kids. Because if I had never got them tested, I would have went on believing that, oh, okay, they doing good. They doing good.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that, Mel. I appreciate it very much. Um, a little change in the agenda, if you guys don't mind. I know that Sandra just texted me and said that she's on. I know we don't have her on video, but Sandra, if you're able to come off of mute, if you can come off of mute for a second, that would be great. Give you just a couple seconds to see if you can. If not, I'll continue. Okay. I'm gonna keep going. So here are our recommendations based off of our report, based off of the communication that we had with our parents. The first one is that we're asking the district to build in and align intervention, high dosage literacy intervention, intentional high dosage literacy intervention time into tier one instruction time. So build this into things that are already happening in the classroom. We hear a lot of focus on tier one instruction, but build in that intentional high dosage intervention time into this tier one classroom time that's already being utilized every day. Also, as I previously stated, better utilize map data to build those personalized plans, and not only build those personalized plans, but share those personalized plans with families. I would also like to say, especially for Fort Worth ISD, I know Fort Worth ISD has, to my understanding, what is called a missing plan report. So they already have a report that tells them these are the students that have been identified as needing intervention. However, there's no plan in place for them for that intervention. So the system is flagging these students saying there's a missing plan for them. There's a missing plan for them. So anybody from Fort Worth ISD, if you guys are on this call, I challenge you to please go and pull that report because we already know that these are students that need intervention. The system is already flagging them. So see what can be done to go ahead and build that in and into their schedule, and notifying parents to let them know your child has been identified as needing some intervention. As a parent, if I just get a generic letter that says the schools are providing intervention, it doesn't hit home to me because it's not telling me that my specific child needs help. But when I get a letter saying that your child is the one, DeRay is the one that is needing intervention, has been identified as needing intervention, please believe I'm going to come to the school, call the teachers, make arrangements to see what exactly she needs and how I can be involved to support to ensure she gets that. So better using those markers, we already get them beginning of year, middle of the year, and end of year. How can that better be shared with parents and used to actually plan for those students to close those gaps? Also, create a safe and supportive space for students to practice reading out loud. As Melanie stated, that's what helped build her child's confidence. That's 50% of the battle right there, just ensuring that our kids are confident in what they're doing. And then funders and philanthropy, if you guys could please invest in high dosage intervention, because we know that this is proven to close those literacy gaps, excuse me. And then standardize a process to develop personalized learning plans. That just goes back to MAP. Like that should be general for every student. Um, and then share map data more frequently with parents. When we have the information at our fingertips that's easily digestible and able to understand, we are going to act and we are going to make sure that we are showing up for our children. But with the report card showing information that's not accurate, we don't know that there's a problem. So just reiterating, funders, please, please, please invest in high dosage literacy intervention. This needs to be a top priority. If we can invest in it, we can ensure that our kids are getting it. We will see those trajectories changing and our kids heading in the right direction, especially when it's related to reading. Parents, if you are a parent on this call right now, the first thing that I would ask you to do is tomorrow, it's very important. Ask your child's teacher, is my child on grade level? Are they reading on reading level? That's the first question. See what that teacher tells you. If they say, yes, your child is, great. What information are you using to gather that information? I need that. And how can I ensure that my child is continuing to grow? If they say, no, your child is not on reading level, then there are next steps that need to be taken. The first one I would ask would be, well, what type of services is MTSS being provided for my student? This is something that comes not from the district, but from the state. If kids have been identified as behind, MTSS services should be being utilized to close those gaps for our students. So again, parents, if you're on the call tomorrow, please go ask your child's teacher, is my child reading on grade level? If the answer is yes, if the answer is no, and you need some support, please reach out to us. We would love to support you so that we can make sure that your child is supported. So as I stated, ask your child's teacher. If they're not on reading level, we need to make sure that MTSS, which is the multi-tiered system of support, is being put in place for your students. As I mentioned, Fourth ISD has a missing plan report, so they already have this information. It's not something that they need to go and search and find. So I will pause there. I'm going to stop sharing and I would love to answer any questions or comments that you guys have. And then John, I know you're in charge of the questions, so if there are any in the chat, that'd be great. Sarah, I see that you have your hand up. Feel free to come off and ask your question. Thank you for being here too.
Sure. Hi, Trinace. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'm curious with y'all using certified teachers for your summer intervention program. were you able to talk with those staff members about the barriers they face during the school year to deliver some of these best practices? I know you're rightly advocating that our tier one instruction get stronger and implement more of this intervention as part of our classroom and our school day routines. What are you hearing from those teachers or those literacy specialists about why that's not happening?
That's a good question. So most of it is timing. That's one of the things that I'm hearing is they don't have enough time to do it. There's so many children in those classrooms that need support. And talking to some of the teachers, they said that in a class of 25, it could be the whole class that are needing these intervention. And so it's trying to figure out a strategy and a structure to be able to provide those supports to all students in the classroom. I can also say too, one of the challenges right now that's going on with Fort Worth ISD is they're currently in the process of looking for a permanent superintendent. So Dr. Molinar, who is the interim right now, she has come in and stated that she's going to be deploying some of central office into the schools to also help ensure the assessments are being done and that the students are getting intervention. So that's hopeful, but just really finding ways to make sure that all of those kids are able to be touched. And although it can be overwhelming, we can't just focus on 5 students in a classroom of 25 if all of those children are needing some assistance. I hope that answers your question. Caroline, you too, I see your hand is up. Feel free to come off and ask your question.
Hey, Trinace, thank you. What do you mean when you say high dosage intervention? What does that mean to you?
Thank you. High dosage to me, again, it starts with the assessment, because I think that again, that's the starting point. You can't start intervention without knowing what exactly areas the child needs assistance on. So doing that first, starting with the assessment, building a plan that's going to get the child to where they need to be based off that starting point. And then I also think high dosage includes at least 2 to 3 times a week. It's not something that you can go to once a week. It definitely needs to be more than 2 at least. It needs to be with a consistent instructor. So you can't have me teaching it one day, you teaching it on Tuesday, and Melanie teaching it on Thursday, and we're thinking that our kids are going to get that. So it needs to be something that is structured, that is focused on specifically those areas that that child is struggling on.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any more? Let me turn my thing off so I can see all the hands. Are there any more questions, comments? Are there anything in the chat, John, that maybe I missed? Ashley, I see your hand is up. Go for it.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Nace. I wanted to know, are we all, excuse me, going to be following up with the students that you accepted into the program? Like, are you keeping up with the scores, like how they're doing?
Yes, so that's definitely something that we are trying to do and really trying to see how we can build it in to the school. Like, how can we share this information with the school so that we can continue to track those children going forward. Right now, that's not something that we were doing with this being our first our pilot, our test run of it. But as we build and enhance this program, definitely something that we're looking into.
Bernice, I think we have I think I found Sandra. So I'm gonna unmute her and possibly we can allow her to speak for just a second.
Definitely.
Okay, Sandra, go ahead.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Hello.
Hey, I've been here. It just, I don't know. I can't see myself. I see all of you guys.
Well, thank you for being here, Sandra. If you don't mind, I know we're kind of out of order, everybody, so please
Yeah.
forgive me. But Sandra, if you can just share a little bit of your experience, and what was your reason for even signing your children up for the LIFT program?
Yes. Hi, my name is Sandra Quintana. I live here in Fort Worth, and the reason why I started wanting for my kids to join the program was because I've always suffered from ADHD. I didn't know this when I used to go to school. I would just um I would just always fall behind. I would sit there and didn't know what I was doing, fail my classes, but I was scared to tell my mom that I didn't understand, and I will be scared to tell the teachers too. So I never really got the help I needed because at the time I didn't know what was wrong with me. I just couldn't understand or keep anything in my brain. Or I'll learn it like right now, and then I go to the next class, and then next day I didn't know what I was doing, right? So I grew up doing all those things, and I was only able to finish 10th grade. Good, like finish it, and that was it. I dropped off because high school started being really difficult to me because I couldn't understand a thing of what they were teaching, and I was able to. I'm from Mexico, but I grew up here since I was 7. I was able to learn only English, but I don't know how to like read it or write it. Still to this day, it's very difficult for me. Um, and so yeah, that happened to me. I dropped off, and I continued my life. I had 3 kids, and one of the 3 first kids had ADHD, and he was diagnosed when he was 7 years old. But like the first 2 years of school, it was very, very hard for him because I didn't know that that was wrong with him either. And they will be calling me every day from school. He got expelled, he got suspended. I would have to go help in school. It was just so many things that I didn't understand, and all they would do is attack me in school because they thought like he was spoiled or that I wasn't a good mom kind of thing, because they would like tell me, but what are you doing? They even send me a social worker thinking like, something was wrong in the family, you know what I mean? But it wasn't. It was just like I didn't know that ADHD existed or any other sickness, mental sickness like that. So yeah, I was able to until I got here in Texas, because I come from LA. So when I got here from Texas, I was able to take him to school, and that's when they diagnosed him. And then it started like therapy and a little bit of help, little bit, not very much. And yeah, things went on, and still the suffering with school, still like instead of helping me, bugging me, telling me like, hey, you're not doing, but it's because I didn't understand. I didn't know where to go. I didn't have no help. um and then well, that happened. My kid grew out of it, and however, I kept on going with my life, and then I decided to have 2 more children. And when those 2 children started growing up, which is yeah, one of them had 1 and 2, I started going to this program that's called Advance. It was around the corner, and I started going because I was so afraid that I was gonna commit the same mistake of not helping my child, and they were gonna have to go through the same thing that the other one went. And so I started going to the program at an early age, and sure enough, it was like a parenting class, but then also they would teach them, even though they were 1 and 2 years old, they would teach them colors, sharing, and all this with fun things. So ever since then, I've been trying to like find help for them because I don't want them to go through the same thing I went. So when Trinice, I one day I said, look, I'm having a lot of issues in school. Again, when one of my son, my 7-year-old, I'm having a lot of issues, and you know what? I'm gonna be honest to you. I don't know how to read. I don't know how to write, and it's very difficult for me to sit down and help him with the homework. Is there any place that I can help my child through somebody else? You know what I mean? And sure enough, there was this thing coming up, which is Lyft program, and she said, "Sure, I got you." she helped me sign up. I started taking them, and my daughter, she didn't know not even the ABC, like how to identify the ABCs. Like she knew them by a song, but she didn't know how to identify. Even she was already in kinder already. She had went to preschool and kinder, and she didn't know none of that. So, um, sure enough, when she started going to the program, at first she didn't like it because she didn't know how to read, and she found it boring. But when in the middle of the program, she found herself very, very happy. She will come home and say at night, "Can you read us a book?" And sometimes I still feel embarrassed because I don't know how to read, but I try, you know. But I get, once again, once the program ended, it was so fun. They loved it. They even miss it. They're always asking me like when they can go. And the most thing I can find that they were so excited about, it's about being able to learn without all this kind of kids behind them screaming and yelling and all these things. It was like one on one, and they loved that thing. They just, I'm guessing that that's what helped them the most, that they were able to sit with somebody that had the patience and then that had the dedication to teach them and be like, hey, what are you missing? What are you doing? Like, they really love that. And I was very thankful for that. And whenever the programs ended, they were so sad it ended, and they keep on asking me every day, when is it going to happen again? Can we go again? I want to go again. And I keep on asking trainees, can you please let me know if any other program, I don't care if it's around the other city, I don't care if I have to drive, as long as I'm able to take my kids to go learn something that I haven't been able to teach them.
Wow. Wow. Sandra, thank you so much for sharing that. And that really takes me back really quick. Bill, I'm coming to you next to Caroline's question. Caroline, when you said, what is high dosage intervention to me? I also would like to add in that it is that one-on-one touch. It is that small group. This is not something that could be done in a full classroom setting. While although tier 1 instruction is important, you can't get that kind of connection with 20, 30, and as we know, in some classes, 38 kids in the classroom. It has to be that small one-on-one, 2-to-1, 3-to-1, no more than 3-to-1 touch point in order for our kids to get that attention that they need. Thank you so much, Sandra, for sharing that. That was very great. Bill, you're up. Thank you too for being here.
Yes, Trinace. A question here. What is the kind of upper age range of students that you all are serving through this program?
Yes, so we went up to the 6th grade.
Okay.
So it was kinder through 6th grade.
All right. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Any more questions? Any comments? The floor is open to you guys if y'all have anything. Okay. If not, I would like to go ahead and end this meeting, but I'm sorry, Caroline, you got it.
Okay, sorry, I'm slow to click. Sandra, I've been in public education for 25 years, and all I want to say to you is I'm so sorry. We failed you, and then we started to fail your kids. And your story is so compelling. And I hate that you had to fight so hard to get your kids what they need. And I just applaud you for being so vulnerable, because you telling your story, oh my word, you struck a chord. That was very brave. Thank you.
I agree. Thank you, Caroline, too, for thanking Sandra for that, because you're right. The vulnerability is needed, and I think that's the only way that we can really get somewhere. We have to be vulnerable to share these real life experiences, so that everybody on this call can really get an understanding of why this is so important. Just saying read to your kids at home, that's not the answer. In Sandra's case, like, and in many parents' cases, just reading to your kid and that's going to be the solution. That's not it. That's not it. We have to dig a little bit deeper than just reading. We have to get some intervention in place. We have to do what works. So again, as we wrap this up, three things that I would just like to end on. Parents, just a reminder, ask your child's teacher tomorrow, is my child on grade level? Based off that conversation, know that you have support with Parent Shield in either of the directions, whether they are or they are not. We're able to assist you with the next steps to head towards that right direction. School systems, please, 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 districts, put some focus on intervention. Our report shows that it works. I also challenge everybody on this call to go to our website at parentshield.org, download our full report, review it for yourselves. My phone number is on the website. Please call me if you have any questions that I can answer in addition, but review it. We need to get it out here so that we can really make sure that this is being happened and this is being put in place for our kids. And then philanthropy, if you're on the call, as you can see again, this works. As our parents are stating, this works for them. Their kids are asking for this. It's building their confidence. It's closing those gaps. It's looping parents in. This is something that's needed. Please put some funding and back us up in these efforts. This is another way to ensure that our kids are getting all the resources that they need. So with that being said, thank you so much for joining our webinar. Again, the full report is on parentshield.org, Nurturing Minds tab. Please go and download it and review that full report. If you have any questions, I'm available. Email me, call me, but thank you so much for taking time to join us tonight. Yeah, have a wonderful night. Bye, everybody.